So much for joining us. I am Pius Kojo Baka and want to begin from Parliament because Finance Minister Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam has once again absented himself from Parliament, leaving the budget for the first quarter of next year in limbo. This is the fourth consecutive time the minister has failed to lay the expenditure in advance of appropriation. Parliament will be approving more than 68 billion cedis for government to spend in the first 3 months of 2025. Now, key among this expenditure will be payment of salaries of public sector workers. But what could be the ramification on the economy? Let's first take you to Parliament and get more explanations for the absence of the Minister of Finance. And our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent, Kweku Asante, is on now for us to bring us up to speed on that. Thank you so much, Kweku, for joining us. Now, what is making it difficult for the Finance Minister to lay before Parliament the mini budget, as you say, sorry?
Well, Pius, no explanation has given us to the Finance Minister's absence. It's been 4 days in a row. The Finance Minister, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, has not shown up on the floor. He's a member of Parliament as well as his additional responsibility as the Minister for Finance, but he hasn't come here at all. And no explanation has been given. On Monday, the House expected that he would present this report. It didn't happen. On Tuesday, assurances were given that he'd be here. On Wednesday, it didn't happen. And today as well, when the order of business was raised, it didn't show up. And that is why the NDC leadership in Parliament, led by Dr. Kasila Tofosin, are warning Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam that there will be legal consequence if he does not present this document to Parliament, including risking a jail term. And that has come in. And so, as we speak, the House has moved on to do with other things. They are still sitting, but there is no indication the minister will be here. The assurances have already been given again by majority leadership that tomorrow the Finance Minister will be in the House to present this document. But of course, the assurance had already been given between Monday and now, and it still hasn't come. So, Pius, that is the state of play in the House as we speak.
So it's certain that tomorrow we'll see the Finance Minister lay before Parliament the mini budget, right?
Well, Pius, we can't say that for certain because on Monday the assurance was given that he'll be here on Tuesday. On Tuesday, the assurance was given that he'll be here on Wednesday. And yesterday, the assurance was given that he'll be here today. He hasn't showed up. And so tomorrow, it may likely be that Parliament, the last day before it goes for Christmas tomorrow, it could also well be they'll sit on Saturday and next week. The assurance have already been given from the start of the week up until now. The minister hasn't showed up. But that is the assurance the majority leadership have given again on the floor, that the Finance Minister will show up tomorrow and present the media budget review. The mini budget, I should say, for the first quarter of next year. It has been listed on the other paper for the last 4 days, 68.1 billion Ghana cedis for the government machinery to run up until March, when John Dramani Mahama's new finance minister will then present a new budget, substantive budget to the House. But that hasn't happened, and the salaries of public sector workers is at risk, and the entire government machinery risk grinding to a halt on the 1st of January if this crucial document is not dealt with in the House.
Kweku, thank you so much for that comprehensive report there. Let's get the perspective of an economist on this subject matter. Joining us via phone is Professor Peter Quartey to help us speak to us on this matter. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us here on Business Live. First off, we want to understand the economic implications of all of these. Rather unfortunately, we do not have Professor Peter Quartey. As and when we do, we shall bring him on to speak to us on this subject matter. But let's shift focus to some other stories. And liquefied petroleum gas consumption increased by 4% to reach 317,465 metric tons. According to the 2023 Ghana Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors Industries report, the surge is attributed to a rebound in economic activities in 2023 after the country suffered a slowdown in activities in 2022. However, speaking to Joy Business, Vice Chairman of the LPG Marketers Association of Ghana, Gabriel Kumi, said the figures are misleading and do not reflect the actual situation on the ground.
I think the figures, the growth figures put out by Seaboard is quite misleading. Because if you look at the statistics, in 2020 we did 332,000. In 2021, we did 345,000. This dropped to 305,000 in 2022. And it picked a little bit in 2023 to 317. So if you pick the lowest figures within the lowest consumption within the last 5 years, and compare it to what we did in 2023 to say that there is growth in consumption of LPG, I think that is not entirely accurate. Not until we are able to go beyond the 332 or the 345,000 metric tons that we consumed in 2021, I don't think anybody can say firmly that the LPG consumption is on the rise. We have declined. Like I said, 332 2020, 345 2021, and 2023 is 317. So there is no growth actually.
And I'd like to take you back to Parliament, where we understand the Finance Minister for the fourth consecutive time has absented himself from Parliament to lay before the House the mini budget. Let's explore the economic implications of this. And of course, joining us via phone now is Professor Peter Quartey, an economist who understands this terrain very well. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us here on Business Live. Earlier, I was asking how crucial this mini budget is to our economy, looking at how long it's taken the Minister of Finance to lay before Parliament the mini budget.
Yes, good evening to you and to your discerning listeners and viewers. Usually, if it had not been an election year, the budget would have been read somewhere in November. But because it's an election year, we couldn't have that, and therefore, a 3-month appropriation or budget is read to basically guide expenditures for the first quarter up to the first quarter of 2025. Unfortunately, this has not happened, and I think that is driving a lot of anxiety, uncertainty, and that is not good for the development of the country. It brings uncertainty on the minds of investors, workers, consumers, stakeholders. But having said that, I think I would urge both sides, both the majority and the minority, to put Ghana first. Taking an entrenched position will not help. Just selecting the budget and not considering other government business is not the best. Not also presenting the budget is not the best, not in the best interest of the country. So there should be a win-win situation, and I believe who else should prevail. Both sides should put their effort instead of taking an entrenched position.
I get the sense that this will definitely have some ramifications on the economy, looking at how things are playing out, especially as you mentioned that this will bring some sort of uncertainty in the minds of investors, right?
Yes, certainly. It brings uncertainty because, let's take even workers. If you're a worker and you know from January you might not receive your salary. You know, January is like 2 months were put together.
Yeah.
People have spent most of their monies, and come January you not receive your salary. It might be delayed or something. It creates uncertainty on the minds of people and the way they even spend Christmas. So if I have to buy, I need to be careful that I save some. Should it happen that in January I do not receive salary, and that has repercussions on the market, on many other areas. Same with investors. If I'm going to invest and I know people will not receive their salary or income, I have to be cautious. And many aspects of the economy can be affected if this trend continues. So I think the minority should not take an entrenched position. The majority is also not take an entrenched position. So we have a win-win situation.
Professor Quartey, some have argued that, well, the incoming government, for instance, can prepare something upon assumption of office come January 7.
Sorry.
I am saying that there's been this argument that the incoming administration can equally, upon assumption of office on January 7, if by which time the minister hasn't prepared anything yet, can go ahead to do something. How possible is that?
Well, certainly something can be done, but it's not the best. I mean, they now have to prepare something, present for approval. Mind you, on 1st January coming, we also have to spend. It's not like from 7th January. It covers from the first week of January to the first quarter. So it might create some delays. Even if they are able to present something and get it passed, it might create some delays in salaries, delays in paying contractors and suppliers, etc. So it's not the best option.
All right. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us here on Business Live. Professor Peter Quote is an economist. You're still watching Business Live. We have more stories for you after this break. Hello, welcome back to Business Live. Some major oil marketing firms say they will keep fuel prices unchanged at the pumps for the next 2 weeks. This is despite earlier industry data indicating that prices would go down marginally from December 16. Joy Biafe has more.
Some of these oil marketing firms, their decision has been influenced by the recent challenges with product supply in their industry. This affected prices based on what the importers and distributors were willing to sell to the oil marketing companies. This has forced most of them to revise their notes when it comes to pricing of their products from this Monday to the end of this month. Some of the oil firms have told Joy Business that they are not in the position to absorb the sudden cost that has come up. However, one of the major players, Shell, has increased the price of petrol and gone down marginally on the price of diesel. But one is not sure for now whether other players might adopt this approach so they don't lose out on the market. The National Petroleum Authority has told Joy Business that the recent supply challenges has been dealt with and has stocks of up to 5 weeks to meet market demand.
The Ghana Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors is worried the smuggling of petroleum products through the Upper East and Upper West regions is still growing despite measures put in place to halt the practice. The following report has more.
According to the Chamber, the Upper East region recorded an increase in petroleum products by 86%, while Upper West recorded 35%. Thus, the Chamber contends cannot be the case since the transportation of such petroleum products to the regions mentioned do not match the consumptions. The Chamber pointed out that the situation raises issues of potential smuggling of the product to neighboring countries, which result in the country losing millions of dollars. The Greater Accra region recorded the highest consumption of 1/3 of total petroleum products in the country.
Senior lecturer at the Department of Finance at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Benjamin Amoah, has expressed worry about rising non-performing loans within the financial sector. According to him, a robust and efficient credit scoring system should be established to save the operations of some financial sector players. He has been speaking to Joy Business. He's been speaking to my colleague James Ishen.
From the policy point of view, the financial institutions themselves also have a responsibility because they stand to gain the most if we are able to get a large segment of our population being financially literate.
Non-performing loans has been one of the biggest problems when it comes to our financial sector. We've had banks suffering as a result of that. Also, savings and loans companies. I remember recently in one of their annual general meetings, they made mention of the fact that teachers, nurses, and basically public workers do abscond to other parts of the world with these monies being borrowed from some of these savings and loans companies. How do we sort of get our head around this? What's the way forward?
So long as you provide credit in any form, as a bank or even if you are selling normal tangible goods and services and it's on credit, you will have the problem with non-performance in terms of loans or credit. So once the economy is moving more from cash-based transactions to a credit-supported economy, we'll be confronted with non-performing loans. But the issue then is the high level of non-performing loans. That clearly shows that we are having challenges and difficulties in loan management from the banks. And that will start from when the loan request is made by the client. The process that the client will go through, the before loan process, right? Then the after loan process. What do we do? And how best do we manage the entire process so that it will be successful in the sense that the loan will perform, meaning that the borrower will end up paying for the facility. So we need to look at the entire chain.
But should that be the role of the regulator or the banks or financial, institutions themselves?
It's a responsibility for all. It's a responsibility for the regulator, the banks, the individuals, or let's say financial service consumers. We all have a responsibility. You understand? So we can't leave it on the doorstep of the regulator. We can't leave it on the doorstep of the financial institutions. all of us have a responsibility. From the central government point of view, we can use the Ghana card as a starting point. And let's quickly build the credit score around the Ghana card. And let's have that unique identifier when it comes to lending. Let's pull the data together so that before I even go for a credit facility, I'll be directed to go for a credit score. And I'm going to use that credit score as one of my, my documents to request for the loan. The banks understand what the score means, and I also understand what it means for me. So that when I service or I don't service the loan, it will then affect my next score that I'll have. And that will bring in some level of discipline. If we can start, we can even go back to the mobile money account and use our behavior on the mobile money account when we go for these mobile money loans as a starting point to start building the score. Especially for those who have not borrowed formally, we can use the mobile money conduit as a starting point to build their credit score. At the universities, those who have not come for loan before, we can also target them. If they have gone for student loan, it's also another area that we can use to manage or to start building the credit score. The point is that you must build the credit score over time. You can't just start on the ground zero. So we should start building the credit score over time. And as we build it and we educate the public, we'll be able to deal with these non-performing loans.
The Ghana Civil Aviation Authority says it is working assiduously to prevent interference in its frequencies. Director in charge of Air Traffic Safety Engineering and Acting Deputy Director Technical Joyce Asante says the authority will continue to prioritize safety to ward off any unforeseen circumstances. She spoke to Joy Business at the 2024 SMS Awareness Week celebration.
SMS Awareness Week celebration is a week-long activity designed to continuously create safety awareness among stakeholders in the industry with the objective of building a strong positive safety culture.
In Ghana Civil Aviation, as we said, safety and security are our priorities. And so we have deployed equipment that help us to ensure the safety of life of all the traveling public. And so we ensure that the equipment are well stationed and we don't have any interference from other third-party systems. So we try to protect our equipment from encroachers and also to ensure that we don't have any interference in our frequencies, because as we have said, for us, safety and security are our priorities.
Director in charge of Traffic Services, David Ekuamwa-Boateng, explained further the role of safety in their operations.
And the week is a period that we set aside to try to educate our stakeholders as to what we do. Now, our profession is not all that known to this environment, or should I say, in this part of the world. It is not that we are trying to open up. Of course, we have only 2 domestic airlines, AWA and then Passion.
The celebration, organized by the Safety Standards and Quality Assurance Office of the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, is on the theme, the human factors, understanding the impact of fatigue and stress on performance.
Stakeholders in the tourism and hospitality industry have blamed the high cost of operations on the lack of enforcement of standards in the country. This, they point out, is causing Ghana to lose out to other tourism destinations on the continent. Speaking to Joy Business ahead of the Christmas festivities, the managing director of Labadi Beach Hotel, David Idwafo, recounted how the lack of standard agric produce is affecting the hospitality industry here in Ghana.
Cost of operating business, especially our industry in this part of the world, is very high. We pay so much taxes, which we've been talking about, and still nothing has been done. We have to import most of the things we use here, and I'm on record in saying that we even import beef, toothpick, everything is imported because you don't get the quality here. And it's so difficult if you don't get the quality. If you come and eat in Labadi Beach Hotel and the beef is tough or the beef is not tasty, you blame the chef. You won't say it's not the farmer, or you blame us. So we have to always get the right ingredients, the right things, and most of this you have to import. And the duties alone is so high. It's so high. We bring in 40-footer of beef, 40-footer of pork products and things like that, almost every 6 months from South Africa, Kenya, Farmer's Choice, and Karen Beef, and all those places that we can think of, just to get the right quality to serve our guests, because we want our guests to experience the best. And this is very expensive, my brother. It's very expensive. It would be good the government put in place the right measures to encourage production of some of these things locally, because those countries that people go and they come and tell us, oh, I went here and the cost was cheaper than Ghana, and they operate in an environment where cost of operating is very minimal as compared to what we have here, because most of the things they do or use there are locally produced. I will give two examples, two countries. I will give South Africa. Most of the things are produced in South Africa. You go to South African hotels and you can, I mean, it's affordable in terms of, even if it's a 5-star, whatever it is, because linen is produced there. They produce their own beef, they produce their own toothpick or whatever you can think of. But come to Ghana, everything must be imported, including even chicken. If you want the chicken, you buy the local ones, you get it for a week, the next week you not get the supply again. Hello, we need consistency.
And that's all we have for you by way of Business Life. We've got more stories for you when you log on to myjoyonline.com/business. LPG consumption increases by 4% in 2023. Also, that portal maintain a tight monetary policy stance. That's according to the IMF to the Bank of Ghana. We've got great stories on that portal for you. Do visit there and get yourselves updated. I am Pius Kojo Baka. See you at 8 p.m. with Prime Business.